Our distinguished guests, resource persons, our favorite secretary, the Department of Labor and Employment Secretary, Secretary Silvestre Bello III. Of course, from the Department of Foreign Affairs, Yusek Ernesto Abella. Yusek Jing Paras, our former colleague from Dole. Secretary Abdullah Mamao, Presidential Advisor on OFW and Muslim Concerns. Sir, welcome back. DSWD Undersecretary May Feancheta Templa. Hi, ma'am. Representative from Blas Oplet Training Institute, Mr. Jerome Alcantara. National President, Ako OFW Incorporated, Ms. Marcia Gonzalez Sadicon. Ma'am. POA Governing Board representing the private sector, Ms. Estrelita Hizon. Ma'am Lita, good to see you. Chairwoman of the Philippine Association of Agencies for Kuwait, Ms. Telma Wanang. Ma'am, good morning. From the Commission of Filipino Overseas, Undersecretary Astravel Pimentel Naik. From OWA, our good friend and also a Celtic fanatic, Attorney Hans Leo Pakdak. My favorite TESDA Deputy Director General, Rosana Ordaneta. Chairwoman of Philippine Association of Service Exporters Incorporated, Ms. Edwina Beach. Ma'am. From POEA, Attorney Bernard Olalia, our administrator, sir. President of PASEI, Ms. Elsa Villa. Good morning. Good morning po sa inyong lahat at maraming salamat for attending. Isang malaking karangalan po na makasama kayo ngayong umaga pong ito. This hearing, again, as I mentioned earlier, is a continuation of our deliberations on 6 proposed Senate resolutions submitted by Senator Pacquiao, Senator Nancy Binay, who is present here today. She is the most active, and I would say it, most active in my committee. Senator Nancy Binay, again, thank you. Senator Win Gatchalian, Senator Grace Po, Senator Sani Angara, and this representation. Just to refresh our memory, these 6 resolutions, including the privileged speech of Senator Manny Pacquiao, are all related to the deaths and abuses of overseas Filipino workers, particularly Joanna Dimafelis, the total deployment ban to Kuwait and its impact on the economy, and our government's migration policies. Marami na pong nangyari mula nung unang hearing natin noong February 21. Ang mga pangyayaring ito ang magpapatunay na hindi nawalan ng saysay ang buhay ng kababayan nating si Joanna Dimafelis at iba pang naabuso at pinaslang doon sa bansang Kuwait. Bagamat naging mapait po ang katapusan ng kanyang buhay, naging mitsa naman ito ng maraming pagbabago. At inaasahan nating magtutuloy-tuloy ang mga developments, lalo na sa sistema ng pagpapadala natin ng OFWs sa ibang bansa. Banggitin na rin ho natin na kahit papaano ay nakakita po tayo ng hustisya sa sinapit ni Joanna sa pagkakahuli sa mga employer niyang sina Nader Esam Asaf sa Lebanon at Mona Hasun sa Syria noong February 23. Noong February 12, nag-issue ang ating Secretary of Labor, Secretary Bello, ng total ban on the deployment of all OFWs sa Kuwait. Sa loob po ng 94 days na may deployment ban sa Kuwait, nalagdaan na rin yung nung May 11 ang matagal na pong nakabinbin na Memorandum of Understanding para maprotektahan ang ating mga kababayan sa bansang Kuwait. Alinsunod po sa Dollar Administrative Order 254 at AO 254-A, pwede na ulit mag-Kuwait lahat ng newly hired professionals, skilled and semi-skilled workers, gayon din ang mga household service workers. Ngayon po, may ilang nagtatanong sa atin. Na-lift na ang deployment ban, napirmahan na ang MOU, kailangan pa bang ituloy ang hearing? Ang sagot ko po ay resounding yes. I was looking at the POEA job orders last night. And we found out that at least 1 month after the total deployment ban, job orders for Kuwait kept coming in. This only shows that despite the deployment ban, Filipino workers remain among those in highest demand in the Gulf countries. And that's why we need to ensure that the government's efforts are consistent and sustainable, and that similar incidents that happened to Joanna and other OFWs will not be repeated, not only in Kuwait, but also in other countries which are far worse in terms of labor abuse, like Saudi and Lebanon. And I hope we'll be able to talk about it later. Dapat po yung bawat isang Pilipinong lalabas ng bansa, lalo na yung pupunta ng Kuwait o Middle East, dapat naman mabigyan po natin ng kumpiyansa na sila ay ligtas, na ang skills nila ay sapat, at kahit paano may familiarity sila, kabisado nila yung ilang mga batas na magpuprotekta sa kanila, yung kultura na kanilang pupuntahan, lalong-lalo na yung binanggit dati ni Secretary Mamao, yung kafala system, alam nila kung yung ba'y nag-i-exist. Palagi ho tayo kasing mumultuhin nitong mga huling pangyayari na nangyari sa Kuwait. Kaya po sa DFA, DOLE, POEA, at sa lahat ng naririto po, tayo hong lahat ang nasa lugar para ika nga po maitama ang mga pagkakamali dati. So in today's hearing, we want to know the changes in our deployment protocols to prevent such horrors our OFWs experience from happening again. We are also interested to know what has been done to curb the modus operandi of recruiters that process documents of household workers without any due diligence, and what can be done to deepen the accountability of foreign recruitment agencies and their local counterparts. Higit po sa lahat, gusto nating malaman ang mga detalye kung paano ipapatupad ito pong Memorandum of Understanding o MOU, para hindi naman ho sa papel lang ito maganda. Alam naman po natin sa kasaysayan, marami ng MOU na pinirmahan. But unfortunately, kahit anong ganda ng MOU, kung hindi natin mai-implement, baliwala din po ito lahat. Halimbawa, paano natin matitiyak na hindi kukumpiskahin yung pasaporte ng mga Pinoy workers dahil sa kafala system, kung if it still exists, na mabibigyan sila ng holiday, mabibigyan sila ng health insurance, makakakain ba sila, makakatulog ba sila ng tama, sapat na tulog. We expect that through our deliberations today, and we can identify policy alternatives and craft measures if need be, to strengthen protection of OFWs and assure our kababayans that abuses are a thing of the past. Alam kong pangarap ho yan, pero wala namang pangarap na hindi magkakatotoo kung talagang pagsusumikapan natin. Kaya kinikilala rin po natin ang mga efforts ng government agencies, ang efforts ng DOLE, DFA, POEA, and other concerned agencies. Kasama na rin po ang mga NGOs at iba pang mga ahensya na talagang nagsusumikap na matanggal yung sinasabi nilang kakambal ng ating OFWs na pang-aabuso at disgrasya. Muli po, magandang umaga at maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. At this juncture, I'd like to recognize the presence of another OFW champion dito sa committee natin. Walang iba kundi Senator J.V. Ejercito. Siguro bago tayo to start the ball rolling, we'll ask our good Secretary Bello, to give us updates and perhaps some other agencies considering dung nakaraang hearing, may mga napag-usapan na po tayo, some updates lang po. Sige po, Secretary.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, Honorable Senator Nancy Binay, Honorable Senator J.V. Ejercito. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. In behalf of the Department of Foreign Affairs and Department of Labor, including my favorite and special envoy, Secretary Mamao, I would like to thank this committee for this opportunity to present to the committee the facts that preceded the total deployment ban Then eventually, the lifting of the deployment ban precipitated by the signing of an MOU to provide protection to our overseas workers. Your Honor, as stated by the Honorable Chair, sometime in February, this representation first issued an administrative order suspending the processing and the issuance of OECs. And this was precipitated by series of death resulting from suicide and other causes which were unexplained. Ito po yung nangyari na may tatlo tayong mga kababayan-babae na nagbigti. At meron tayong dalawang kababayan na babae na namatay sa kwarto nila dahil sa allegedly yung oxygen suffocation. Mukhang naglagay sila ng carbon dahil malamig yata sa usok na na-suffocate sila. And there was another incident where a Filipina overseas worker died as a result of an assault by her boyfriend who eventually committed suicide. So itong series of death, Your Honors, gave this representation a serious reason to immediately order the suspension of the processing as well as the issuances of OECs or the Overseas Employment Certificates. Subsequent to that, Your Honors, yung nagkaroon yung discovery of the frozen body of our OFW Joanna, the late Joanna Demafelis. This caught the attention and the ire of our President, reason for which he immediately gave this representation the instruction to declare a total deployment ban, which I did, Your Honors. Of course, the ban was received differently, but mostly were in favor of the ban. Ngayon, with the total ban, the President made it very clear that the total deployment ban will not be lifted unless, first, Joanna Demafelis will be given justice, and second, that there will be a memorandum of agreement between the Philippines and Kuwait for the protection of our overseas workers, particularly our household service workers, who used to be called domestic helpers. Now they're called household service workers. With these two conditions, Your Honor, the deployment ban continued for more than 2 months, and during which period these representations was deluged with appeals, especially from the skilled workers who were bound to return from a vacation and others who are there for the first time. Maraming umiyak sa opisina. Kung minsan, tinatablan naman din tayo po. Pero as I said, dalawa ang kondisyon para malif ang deployment ban. Well, Your Honors, eventually, Joanna was given justice when the Kuwaiti government, in absentia, convicted the killers, a Lebanese husband and a Syrian wife, and sentenced them to death by hanging. So to our mind, Your Honors, that was already a substantial justice given to Joanna. And subsequently, and that was, I think, on May, kailan ba yun? Kailan nagpirmahan? May 11, we witnessed the signing of the MOU between our Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano, and the Deputy Prime Minister, concurrently the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the State of Kuwait, Your Honors. So this brought about the meeting of the two conditions, and upon prodding of my dear friend, Secretary Mamao, and for good reasons, Your Honor, kasi sabi ni Secretary, pumunta tayo dito, nagpirmahan tayo ng MOU for the protection of our household service workers. Pagkatapos, hindi nyo naman ilip ang ban. With this reasoning from our Secretary Mamao, I immediately consulted with the President, and true enough, the President agreed with the recommendation of Secretary Mamao and directed me to immediately lift totally the deployment ban. Reason for which, Your Honors, we lifted totally the total deployment ban. So, I'm sure that there will be a deluge of application for deployment, but we have to be very careful. In fact, Administrator Olalia, who is the administrator of the POEA, is still drafting the guidelines to see to it that the OFWs that we will be deploying will be sufficiently protected. And by the way, Your Honors, I would like to mention that in the MOU, there is an agreement to create a joint committee. And this will address your concern, Your Honor, na, meron tayong magandang MOU, pero the problem is the implementation. That, Your Honor, is addressed by that provision, which creates a joint committee to be composed of representatives from the Philippines and representatives from Kuwait, who will conduct periodic assessment of the situation of our overseas workers, particularly our household service workers.
Just to, Secretary Bello, which government agencies from both Kuwait and the Philippines who would lead the joint committee?
So on the part of the Philippines, Your Honor, we designated our labor attaché in Kuwait, and that is labor attaché Resti de la Fuente, and I think he will request the assistance of a representative from the Department of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Chair, good morning po, Secretary. Nabanggit niyo ho na na-lift na yung ban, pero technically wala pa hong nakakalipad. Tama po ba?
Wala pa po.
So more or less, kailan yun? Kasi para nabanggit niyo ho, nagda-draft pa ng IRR. So anong target date nyo kung kailan pwede nang makaalis yung ating mga kababayan?
Sabi ni Administrator Olalia, next week po, lalabas na po yung guidelines. But this guideline only refers to the household service workers, Your Honors. Yung mga skilled workers natin are not covered by this MOU. Separately covered sila.
So yung skilled ho natin, pwede na umalis bukas?
Pwede na po. Nagka-problema lang sila kasi dahil doon sa ban, yung iba na nag-expire yung kanilang visa, yung iba nag-expire din yung kanilang medical certificate. In fact, some are asking me, pwede bang i-extend yung validity of this certificate? Sabi ni Administrator Olalia, hindi pwede. So what we will do is, we will ask our administrator ng OWA to help financially the OFWs para mabayaran yung bagong medical certificate nila.
Magkano ho ba lumalabas yung medical certificate?
3,000 plus daw po.
Malaki din.
Malaki din po. Yung ang problema dyan, yung visa, pero dito naman ng Department of Foreign Affairs. I think the DFA can address that, Your Honor.
Meron naman ho siguro kayong budget for that.
I'm sure we will be able to look into that.
Before we give the floor to Yusek Abella for updates, just going back dun sa MOU, Secretary, Article 4, yung sa MOU, how do they intend to exercise their oversight function? Will they be meeting periodically or establish a system of monitoring existing working conditions of our OFWs there? Paano ano yan? Just to be clarified.
As a matter of fact, our committee, our part of the committee, joint committee, will meet with them for the purpose of deciding the mechanics of monitoring the condition of our overseas workers.
Thank you, Secretary. Now we give the floor to Yusek Abella of the Department of Foreign Affairs. I was closely coordinating with Secretary Cayetano until last night about the situation and updates. But just for the record, please give your statement, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Your Honors. More than 3 weeks ago, on April 26 in Singapore, at the sidelines of the ASEAN Summit, the Department of Foreign Affairs, through Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano, conveyed its commitment to work with our counterparts in Kuwait to achieve our shared goal of strengthening our bilateral ties based on what we hope would be a common desire to ensure the well-being of our kababayans there. We also said there that if we reach an understanding on the direction we both want to go, the relations between the Philippines and Kuwait would become stronger than ever. On the 11th of May 2018 in Kuwait, we brought the relationship between our two countries to a higher level with the formal signing of the agreement between the Philippines and Kuwait on the employment of household service workers. With the signing of the agreement and the approval of the additional guarantees that we asked our Kuwaiti friends to extend, the more than 250,000 Filipinos in Kuwait can now be assured of prompt and effective assistance if needed. I'd like to point out the salient points of the Philippines-Kuwait HSW agreement. 1. The Philippine passport is recognized as Philippine property and thus could not be possessed by the Kuwaiti employer. 2. The opening of the OFWs bank account in Kuwait to ensure that there's a proper record and paper trail. 3rd, the formulation of a standard employment contract. 4th, provision of food, housing, clothing, and health insurance for the worker. Next, to allow the worker to have and to use cellular phones and other means of communication. And also to enforce the agreed wage in the contract. Now, outside of this formal agreement, Kuwait likewise expressly agreed to 1, to repatriate all remaining OFWs in embassy shelters. Next, activation of a 24/7 hotline that distressed Filipinos can call for assistance. And also, the creation of a special police unit that would assist the embassy in responding to calls for assistance. The successful outcome of the engagement with Kuwait could not have been possible without the guidance of the President, who made it clear from the beginning of our negotiations that the well-being of Filipinos abroad should always be paramount. The President actually charted a course that the Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Labor and Employment, and the Office of the President took in addressing the concerns of our nationals in Kuwait. We're also grateful for the patience and kind understanding of our counterparts from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Labor, Social Affairs, and the Ministry of Interior of the State of Kuwait. We thank them for their willingness to work with us to achieve our shared goals. We also thank Secretary Sylvester Bello III and his team from the Department of Labor and Employment, the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, and the Philippines Overseas Labor Office in Kuwait, Special Envoy Abdullah Mamao, and Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque for the important role they played in ensuring the success of our collective efforts. We'll also thank colleagues in the Department of Foreign Affairs, particularly Ambassador Renato Villa and Consul General Nurdin Lumondot, for helping set the stage for a successful outcome of these negotiations, and the rest of the men and women in the Philippine Embassy in Kuwait and in the Home Office in Manila. Lastly, we thank our more than 10 million Filipinos overseas, especially those in Kuwait, our new heroes, our Bagong Bayani, who are the ones the government has vowed to protect and whose well-being we will continue to promote. The DFA shall continue its determined efforts to answer the calls for help of any of our kababayans anywhere in the world. In pursuing this duty, we remain guided by the President's policy that the protection of the rights and welfare of Filipinos overseas is paramount.
Thank you, Yusek Abella. Before we give the floor to Secretary Mamao, sir, I remember last hearing you informed us that Kuwait is partially compliant as a host country for our OFWs. Following the execution of MOU, is Kuwait still deemed partially compliant?
I believe we need to just go by this particular agreement now.
Okay, but it's not lifted yung partially compliant, or would they be compliant? Kasi, di ba last hearing, I remember yun po yung
We said that.
na-discuss natin.
I believe this covers your ground, sir. Thank you.
So, compliant na po.
Yes.
Means, thank you very much. Perhaps later, because of lack of time, gusto rin natin pagsalitain yung private sector, no? Kasi last hearing, hindi sila nabigyan ng pagkakataon. But can I give the floor now to Secretary Mamao? Sir, unless you want to waive your time right now.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm very glad that I'm given this opportunity to participate in this committee meeting to shed light on what happened in Kuwait. I was sent by the President sometime in April 28 to Kuwait to do something in mending the diplomatic and labor relations of the state of Kuwait and the Philippine government. In my meetings with the officials of the state of Kuwait responsible for the handling of this problem that happened between the two governments, I was able to discuss with them the relationship of the state of Kuwait and the Philippine government. There is a history of strong relationship between the state of Kuwait and the Philippine government. As a matter of fact, the Philippines was then a part of that group that helped the state of Kuwait during the 1990 and 1991 war in the state of Kuwait. The most important thing on this development is the restoration of the diplomatic relations and the labor relations of the two countries. During those meetings with the leaders of the state of Kuwait, I had found out the sincerity of the leaders in doing something to strengthen the diplomatic and the labor relations of the two countries. As pointed out by Secretary Bilyo, insofar as the memorandum of agreement is concerned, the memorandum of agreement was signed in May 11. And it was signed by our Honorable Secretary Alan Cayetano, and the Deputy Minister, Prime Minister, and Foreign Minister of the State of Kuwait. We were witnesses of that signing of the agreement, Secretary Bilyo, Secretary Roque, and myself during the signing. This memorandum of agreement is one thing that had brought about the lifting of the ban for the recruitment of skilled workers, semi-skilled workers, and domestic workers. The memorandum of agreement that was signed, I do believe, strengthened the protection of our workers. There are provisions in this agreement which provides that the applicable laws of the state of Kuwait shall also be part of this agreement. And the standard contract that is going to be signed, especially by our domestic workers. In reality, the problem is actually more on the domestic workers. We don't have so much problem on the skilled and semi-skilled workers. So this memorandum of agreement served its purpose in protecting the interest and the welfare of the domestic workers that we are sending to the state of Kuwait. one thing that I would like to emphasize also is that the joint committee will be convened after the Ramadan. And this joint committee will finalize the implementing procedures for the enforcement of this particular memorandum of agreement. As a matter of fact, we already have special teams in the Philippine Embassy. And with the signing of this agreement, I do believe that the special teams that are existing in the embassy and the Apollo office and our embassy will definitely strengthen the relationship with the special teams that will be organized by the state of Kuwait. This will definitely calibrate the operational arrangements of our government in the implementation of the assistance that we are extending to our nationals in the state of Kuwait. I was sent by the President also as a special envoy, and my appointment is up to October 2012. So I will be involved in the monitoring of the implementation of this agreement during the time that I will be performing my function as a special envoy of the President from May up to October 2018. In this memorandum of agreement, we had provided all the provisions that will definitely protect the interest of our domestic helpers.
Mr. Chair, siguro gusto ko lang
Senator Binay.
gusto ko lang malaman, may penalty clause ho ba itong MOU? For example, kunyari, hindi sila mag-provide ng food. May kasamang penalty ho ba to dun sa magiging employer ng ating OFW?
I think, in my view, all these things will be handled by the joint committee after Ramadan. There will be a meeting that will be convened, and all these procedures will be in place and will be undertaken by this joint committee.
Thank you. Let's just kasi last hearing we were able to give chance to government agencies. Can we hear short statements from private sector? Let's start with Miss Lita Hizon. Ma'am, you're recognized. Miss Lita Hizon is one of the members of the governing board of POEA, if I'm not mistaken, representing the private sector, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, you're recognized.
Thank you po, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I just would like to emphasize to the body that the private sector, the licensed recruitment agencies, are doing our part in monitoring its deployed workers. Kasi po, sa nakikita po namin sa news, masakit yung mga paratang na ibinabato na yung private sector nagpaalis lang ng tao at hindi na parang pinapabayaan na po namin. On the contrary, baka po hindi mga licensed recruitment agencies yan. Meron po tayong distinction between the licensed recruitment agencies at dun sa mga nagpapaalis po ng illegal. Kasi po, we invest so much in our license. Kami po ay covered ng napakahigpit na POA rules. At
So you're saying may mga illegal pa rin na nakakalabas?
Marami po.
Marami pa rin?
Marami
Okay.
po yan.
Chair, meron ho kaya kayong data kung ilang percentage, anong percentage yung license at anong percentage yung nakakaalis yung mga kababayan natin through unlicensed recruitment agency?
Ma'am, mahirap po yan i-determine kasi nagtatago nga po yung mga
Hindi siguro base ho dun sa mga nagpupunta dun sa Polo Center. Hindi ho ba, well, for example, yung mga OWA or POEA, di ba meron naman hong katulad ngayon, di ba, umuwi yung mga kababayan natin na illegal na nakapasok sa Kuwait. Kinokolate nyo ho ba yun? At kinakausap na parang, sige, paano ka nakarating sa Kuwait na illegal? May ganung, ho ba tayong study or collation of data na nagaganap? Lalong-lalo na ngayon na may amnesty program yung Kuwait. Meron ho ba?
Sa palagay ko po, meron naman po ang ating government. Palagay ko po. But we'll try to help them po sa pagtutulungan po ng government and the private sector. Hindi po yan imposible, maaring hindi po masyadong accurate pero close to accuracy, magawa po natin yan.
Actually, Secretary, baka ho nga maganda since yung marami tayong kababayan na bumabalik ngayon from Kuwait dahil dun sa amnesty program. Sana ho merong kayong parang case profile dun sa lahat ng bumabalik na parang ito dumaan to sa Dubai or dumaan to sa Bangkok. Tapos may bad experience na to sa Saudi pero nakapasok sa Kuwait. Sana meron ho tayong ganung source of information.
Ang challenge kasi, Senator Nancy, and I think if I may, some of our kababayans would go there as a tourist and then would stay there. So it's very hard to monitor. I don't know if there's such a mechanism that we can come up with or what the department is doing.
Your Honors, actually, tama po yung sinabi ni Senator Nancy Binay na yung mga bumabalik, malaman na namin na undocumented sila. That's the only time when we learn na undocumented sila. Opo. That is why what we have actually in our polo offices is the record of the documented. Pero meron din undocumented, pero malaman na lang namin yan pagka nagka-problema. Oh. So maybe that's a very good idea, Your Honors, na dapat siguro even those coming back na found to be undocumented, siguro we should have a data for that. Tama po yun.
Senator JV?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tanong ko lang po doon sa mga, kayo po yung mga recruitment agencies, no? Doon po sa mga legitimate, no? Tinatawag yung mga talagang recognized sa POA, I know for a fact that talagang maigpit ang patakaran ng POA dyan. Because at some point in time, Mr. Chair, nagkaroon nung nasa private sector pa ako, kami po yung mga pioneers na nagkaroon din po akong kumpanya. I was also involved in OFW sending workers to Taiwan and Korea no mga time na yon. Siguro alam niyo po yon in the 1990s nung nasa negosyo pa ako. So ang tanong ko lang kasi at that time yung aming pong agency, kung ano man ang problema, karoon mang problema yung OFW, concerned din kami. Talagang yung agency talagang tumutulong, hindi lang sa POA. Ganon din po ba ang halos lahat po ng legitimate agency, talagang hindi yung mapaalis lang, wala nang pakialam. Talaga hong nakamonitor kayo, no? Hindi lang po ang OWA o POA ang ating pong aasahan, kundi yung mismong mga agencies are also concerned with their OFWs that they deployed.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chair. Yes po, Senator JB Ejercito. Lahat po ng licensed recruitment agencies ay concerned po sa dineploy na worker. Kasi po, nasa amin po yan na pag-iisip that a happy and protected OFW is also a happy and a safe agencies. At very costly po on our part kapag ka po merong napahamak o naparusahan. Opo, kasi hindi po libre yan. $3,000 po ang ginagastos po namin pagpapauwi ng worker, considering na pag pinaalis po namin yan, sir, libre po lahat, not only without placement fee, pero inaako na rin po namin yung mga gastos na dapat po ay sila yung magbayad dahil ayaw po namin that they live already burdened with debts at pag nagtatrabaho ay magulo ang utak dahil nga may mga utang. Hindi po kami pabaya po dyan, kaya po from the day they apply at bago po sila umalis, meron po kaming iba-ibang level ng monitoring. First level po, OFW, we give them a briefing on what to do and not to do. Then we gave them our numbers and even the government numbers para po pag nagka-problema, meron po silang matatawagan. That's on the philosophy of preemption of problems to give solution before it becomes serious or it becomes bigger problem. On the second level po, yun man pong on our level. On our level po, we make calls to OFW but not to all of them and not every day. We make calls to OFW na nararamdaman namin at nare-report na po sa amin na may problema. Then, yung third level po namin, dun po sa FRA at POST. Kasi po sa tingin po namin, they are the ones best able to do this. Kasi po, yung mga FRAs po namin, when I say FRAs, yung foreign recruitment agencies, meron po yung mga frontliners na Pilipina. Na mga
May counterpart
Pilipino
po
din
kayo,
po,
no?
yes.
Ganun din po sa
yung pong
Kuwait.
counterpart,
Opo.
opo. Meron po yung mga frontliners na Pilipina, na ito pong mga frontliners po na to ay twice a year or once a year na binibriefing din po at ine-educate po ng PHILAC at ng CLADS. Ito po yung association po ng agencies to Kuwait. Tinuturuan po namin sila on problem avoidance, problem solution, problem settling of problem disputes. Yan po yung inaano po namin kasi under the system, yung pong mga FRAs po namin, sila po yung directly involved with the clients. So sila po talaga yung tumatawag po dun sa sila po yung tumatawag sa clients. Kaya we urge or encourage the government to support our goodwill missions. Ang mga agencies po, gumagastos po kami yearly para po mag-conduct ng goodwill mission sa iba't ibang country of destination po ng mga deployed workers. Doon po sa goodwill mission, yan po yung pagkakataon para po natatawag po namin lahat ng FRAs. Ine-educate po namin sila sa mga bagong rules po ng Pilipinas sa pagpapadala at sa pagkuha po ng workers. Then, sinasabi po namin sa kanila yung mga bagong problems na dumadating at kung ano, at pinaka-importante po, kung ano yung update mechanism ninyo dito sa pag-solve ng problema. Kasi nga po, gusto po talaga naming ipakita po sa lahat na ang licensed recruitment agencies ay iba po kami sa mga illegal kasi nalalamp po into one. That's why magandang pagkakataon po talaga ito kasi gusto ko pong
siguro,
alam.
not to cut you short, no? Siguro, isa lang sa'yo, kung halimbawa lang magkaroon ng problema yung inyong deployed worker na kayong ahensya nyo po ang nagpadala, ano po ang ginagawa ninyo? Tumutulong, ano po ang parte nyo? Bukod sa, of course, yung andyan na yung OWA, PUA, gusto ko lang malaman kung ano po ang ginagawa ng mga legitimate recruitment agencies.
Immediately, tinatawagan po namin yung aming FRAs. Kasi sila po
Yung counterpart niya po, yung foreign
recruitment agencies.
Yes,
Kasi sila po yung
kasi may batas ho yung mga yun, hindi naman pwedeng kayo na kinakailangan lagi may counterpart.
Opo, sila
No?
po, sila po talaga yon. Sila po yung diretso na kumakausap sa employer, bring my worker here in the office. Kasi yun naman po mga employer na yon, may kontrata po yan sa mga opisina doon na kapag upon demand, nadadala po sa opisina at doon po sa opisina pinag-uusapan, ito pong problema. Kasi po kami, medyo pagka po may problemang ganyan, lagi kami on the side of the worker agad. Yan po yung instinct namin eh. Tsaka na tayo magdiskusyon kung sino ba talaga kasalanan. Kasi kung ang amin pong philosophy, kung hindi namin kampihan yan, kami na nga nag-deploy, sino ang kakampi? Yun po yun eh. Tsaka na tayo mag-questionan talaga kung sino. Yun po muna, kaya medyo strong agad kami sa FRA. Solve this problem, blah, 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 so and so.
Ma'am, yun po doon sa mga pinadalang, kasi problema naman ho wala tayong problema sa skilled workers, no? Ang problema doon sa mga household service workers. So doon po naman sa mga pinadadala ng mga legitimate recruitment agencies, gaano kalaki yung persento na nagkakaproblema kayo ng may reports ng abuse, maltreatment? Meron din ho ba? O gaano kalaki? O karamihan ng nagiging biktima, yung pong mga illegal na pumunta ro na as tourists, no, maraming alam ko, yan ang sakit sa ulo nila Secretary Bello at ng DFA, yung mga pumupunta as tourists. So, meron din ho ba, sigurado meron din naman sa dami, at kung ilang porsyento at kung ano po ang ginagawa nyo assist. Because I have a bill, Mr. Chair, if you remember, I have two bills pending right now, ng OFW Legal Assistance Fund and Distressed OFW Assistance Fund that with the Kuwaiti issue, that all the more I am inclined to push more on these two measures. Sige, ma'am.
Baka si Mr. Wanang para
Ma'am, sige, para iba rin po.
makapagsalita din po kayo.
Tama.
And in addition to that, Senator JV, I'd like to put on record na on Monday, I will be sponsoring yung on the floor yung social welfare attaché bill. At hopefully maipasa natin ito sa lalong madaling panahon to address your concerns kanina, Secretary Bello, dun sa mga distressed OFWs natin. Sige po, Ms. Telma, please.
But Mr. Chair,
Oh,
after
sure.
Ms. Telma po, meron po sana din ako ipapasok baka po ito makatulong po sa
we
resolution
submit-
po na
Opo,
iaano nyo.
Can you submit it na lang po
Yes
sa
po,
committee?
meron po
Opo.
ako.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Miss
mahaba
Season.
po.
Salamat. Miss Wanang?
Ang ano po, kung sa recruitment and deployment, yun po yung dati sa ginagawa po namin. Ngayon po, may kasama na hong monitoring. That is why this should be included that we do not only recruit, we do not only deploy, but we must also monitor our deployed workers. So in this case po, ang POEA ngayon, nire-require na ho kaming mag-submit ng deployment report and assessment po kung ano yung status report of our deploys. So with these reports that we are doing, in the later, madedetermine na natin yung mga exact na statistics po nung mga welfare cases and yung mga nagkakaproblema po na ating mga OFWs. Actually, in the past po, this is one thing that we should also reform on how we can build a database that can monitor our workers po, lahat, hindi lang po sa Kuwait, kundi lahat po ng mga bansa, especially the
But ma'am,
domestic workers.
in your experience, yung question ni Senator JV, sa 100 for instance na dineploy nyo, ilan yung nagkakaproblema?
Hindi po maiwasan ang may problema. However, ilan yung nasosolve? Yun po yung ano.
But we were just wondering, hindi nyo naman control yun eh, yung problema, hindi nyo
according
makokontrol yun.
to,
Sa 100,
ano natin,
ilan kaya yung nagkakaroon ng problema? Naaabuso,
Mr.
hindi
Chairman,
control po yun eh.
hindi
May
naman po,
I
kundi-
respond to the
Please.
concern of the Honorable Senator Hercito? Ang record namin will show that only 1.7% are victims of
Is it for household service workers or for the entire?
the entire one.
Entirely.
Entire po. 1.7% lang
No,
po.
talking about the service workers, no, which all of us perhaps would agree, they're the most vulnerable, di ba? Now, if you look at the MOU, Article 3, subsection 5, it states that the Philippines shall ensure that prospective domestic workers are trained and certified on the conduct of housework. In TESDA, we have trainings for household workers. Medyo alam ko po ito, masyado, no? Itong NC2 certification. Currently, yung question, how many household service workers ho ba have been deployed? Sa Kuwait, tsaka sa outside Kuwait?
Sa Kuwait, Your Honor, we have a record of 262, yung total, out of which 60% are the household service workers, about 170,000.
Now, my
Your Honor.
question is this, are they all holders of National Certificate 2 ng TESDA? Because it's supposed to be a current, I have not heard any new policy or memorandum na tinatanggal na po ito, di ba?
Administrator Olaja
Sige
will
po,
respond.
Administrator Olalia.
Yes, good morning po, Your Honors. Yes, sir, you're right. They should hold a national certification issued by TESDA.
So how are you, sir, monitoring? So that means to say all 262 you are very sure na they are holders of
Yes
TESDA
po,
NC?
that's one of the requirement. Without that NC requirement, hindi po sila papayagan na ma-issue ng OEC ng POEA.
Okay, thank you.
Sir Chair, siguro kasi nabanggit niyo 262,000 ho yung registered. Based on your estimate, ilan naman ho yung illegal?
Doon sa record namin po, the 262,000, ito yung mga documented. We have additional 10,600, ito yung mga undocumented. Pero variable pa yan, Your Honor. No?
Kanina, so parang lumalabas yung sa household service workers, yun yung most vulnerable. Outside Kuwait, Secretary Belliot, can you give us some figures? Ilan yung mga lahat din sila, Attorney Olalia, they are required, no, to be NC2 holders. Yes, please, Attorney Olalia.
Your Honors, we have the biggest po sa Saudi Arabia. For 2016, we have 107,298 new hires for Saudi Arabia. And then it decreased to 103,452 this last year po, 2017. Ang second po na biggest destination ng ating domestic workers is Kuwait. Last 2016, we have 57,726 DWs. Yes po.
But yung actual na nandun na Ilan,
These are the new deployed. DH.
pero wala kayong dita yung
Meron din po.
existing.
Yes, we do have
So
those.
sa Saudi ho, ilan ho yung existing?
Uh,
Kasi lalabas ho, existing plus new deployment.
yes, we can provide you with that data.
Yeah, can you give us a copy? Oh, kanina lang no, I was it caught my attention yung sinasabi ni Miss Season, yung how much they need to pay, etc. Siguro si DFA no, kasi we were informed that the average estimated profit for an individual household worker in Kuwait is of around $3,000 US. I'm not sure of the figures. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And that would be split between the recruiters of both in Kuwait and in the Philippines. Now, do you have any figures as to the amount of money an employer pays in order to employ a domestic helper? This is inclusive of fees and other miscellaneous payments. Kasi kung titignan natin, and we have been receiving a lot of information about this, it costs between 4,000 to 5,000 US dollars. And I don't know how much is the actual cost. Ngayon, kung ganun yung cost, tapos biglang aalis yung employee mo sa iyong lugar, I mean, this is also part of the problem. That's what I'm saying. Kasi yung employer, manghihinayang siya, nag-invest siya. So, this is what we want. If we want to discuss this objectively, we have to look at this angle. Sige, Undersecretary Bella, please.
First, just like to make a reference to the about the monitoring. Yung po just a comment. Yung po mga FRAs are only required to guarantee the welfare of the OFWs for 3 months. Tama ho ba yan? 3 months, 6 to 6, or 3 to 6. But the length of the employment is 2 years. So the balance is unmonitored in a sense. No, but in other words, the guarantee, if you want to improve, it would be best. It may be best to ensure to monitor the whole.
For the entire.
Opo.
But you agree with me, no? Yung high cost of recruitment or getting a household worker is actually part of the problem.
Correct.
In itself. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Actually,
Secretary Mamao.
there are more than 250,000 the overseas Filipino workers in the state of Kuwait. And I think out of that 250,000, there are more than 160,000 domestic workers. That shows the big number of domestic workers. And as you mentioned about the problem on this pay that is being paid by, spent by the employers from 3,000 to 5,000, that really causes a problem sometimes. Because if the recruiter cannot get the entire payment of 3,000 or 5,000 from this employer, the recruiter will transfer this domestic worker to another employer. And that's the problem, because with this, under this situation, we cannot monitor the whereabouts of these workers.
Thank you, Sir
Secretary,
Chair.
kasi di ba ganyan nga ho yung problema. May ano ho ba kayo, based on your experience, gaano kadalas ho yung mga runaway na hindi naman kasi sila inaabuso. Yung iba lang, kasi di ba, pag may nag-ano na better pay or minsan umaalis para maghanap ng ibang amo. So, base ho sa experience nyo, gaano kadalas ho yung ganitong...
Madam Senator, may I answer that? Kung sa bilang po, hindi ho namin ma-determine because we never monitor the number. However, ito pong runaway, ito ho talaga ang problema ng Kuwait. Kaya ho nabansagan ng Kuwait na runaway country. So, with this, and in relation to the payment, siguro ho ang dapat natin tutukan is how to equip the housemaid, our domestic worker, with the skills that is needed. That is why we support the proposal of having them a mandatory training. Kaya po nagra-run away kung minsan ang isang housemaid. It is because pagdating niya ho doon, hindi niya alam yung mga trabaho. So napapagalitan siya or nasasaktan, ganyan. So, we need to train them more. Ito po kasi yung required na magkakaroon na po ngayon ng intensified training skills para sa domestic worker. Ito po'y makakabawas sa mga problema po ng workers pagdating po doon, and especially the runaways. If they understand what they're going to do there in Kuwait or in their country destination.
Just give the floor to Mr. Alcantara. He is
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Sir, dun lang po doon sa point nyo on the relationship between the cost of deployment and the vulnerability of the worker to abuse. Na-observe din po namin yun, ano. Kaya po yung isang ginagawa namin sa OFW Center in partnership with yung mga partner natin sa private sector and also with other NGOs, binabantayan natin kung yung ba mga charges sa worker or sa employer, fair ba talaga? Like for example, dito sa Kuwait, last year po, sinubukan nila na itaas yung bayad sa medical examination ng domestic worker. From 3,500, gusto nilang itaas to 8,500. Tapos, minomonopolya pa po yan. In that particular case, 8 clinics lang po yung pwede kang pumunta. So, imagine ninyo, in one particular aspect of deployment, tataas ng almost 200% yung cost ng employers. Isa pa ang case in point dyan sa Kuwait, yung visa fees niyan. There was a point na murang-mura lang ho yung visa stamping fee niyan, pero ngayon tinaas na ho ng todo. These are impositions of the foreign country, pero meron po mga private sector na mga brokers yan, merong dumidiskarte, merong kumikita, and it has been a practice in almost all markets. Wala lang kung gusto magsalita. Halimbawa, hindi magsasalita yung clinics, kasi pag nagsalita sila, tatanggalan sila ng accreditation ng host country. Ayaw magsalita ng mga agencies kasi hindi sila bibigyan ng job orders, no? And yung government natin, huling ini-inform yan kapag mag-i-impose ng panibagong fee sa medical, sa visa stamping. So, yan po yung isang pwedeng maging mas proactive yung ano natin, ano, yung gagawin po natin. Gawin po sana ng protocol na pag may bagong fee, halimbawa ngayon, yung pong seafarers natin, papatawan ng Panama ng additional na 1,100. Bago nila gawin yon, dapat to, idumaan muna sa DOH, sa DFA, tsaka doon sa mga concerned agencies natin. Pero nakakagulatan ako pag nandyan na, bayad na lang tayo.
We asked reaction from our government agencies. Are you aware of this? Just to be fair, no? 8 clinics lang daw ho, yung 8 lang yung nakakopo dati.
Pero ano lang po, to be clear po, napatigil na po natin yon. Para kumpleto lang po yung kwento, no? Yung sa Kuwait, napatigil po natin yon. Umak po ng mabilis yung DOH, POEA, DFA. Sa Gulf countries po, ginawan din po nila ng
So
mabilis
it's no
na action.
longer happening right now.
Hindi, pero ano po sir, it's
Mahirap eh,
continuously,
everyone's listening, everyone's watching
it's
us.
continuously happening. Pag napigilan natin yan ngayon, like yung sa Gulf country, sir, napigilan na natin yan ng 2015 eh. Pero binabalik nila, unti-unti. May mga ano talaga, may mga
Mr. Chair,
gustong
pero
dumiskarte.
itong nirereklamo mo, ang nag-i-impose na ito yung host country, di
Yes,
ba?
yes ma'am. Host countries, tapos merong mga, syempre, alam mo na, may mga private sector na mga brokers, mga entrepreneurs who want to take advantage of that. Kasi, yun nga, alam mo sa medical certification po, no, pwede naman, reasonable naman sa host country na sabihin ko, ito yung kailangang standard ko, no. Pero we have to make sure po sana na yung fees na i-impose are fair naman. Hindi katulad nung ginawa sa Kuwait noon na 3,500 at 3,000 tinaas sa 8,500. Sobra-sobra naman po yan.
Wala ko ba tayong mechanism na, for example, DFA, kung pwede sabihan muna kayo ng host country na ito yung mga bagong imposition namin. Wala ko bang ganung
It's a two-way ano naman eh.
communication.
Pwedeng huminding. Please, Yusek Abella.
I suppose these things can be clarified, especially with the new understanding. There's going to be there's going to be a consultative group, and that can be brought up there easily.
You want to say something in response to, just to be fair?
Yeah. While we do regulate po sa POA yung charging of recruitment fees, bawal po kasi sa PRA yan eh. But pagdating po sa fees ng FRA, yung sinisingil po nila, we can tackle that doon sa joint committee. I-raise po namin yan na kung pwedeng i-cut short yung kanilang binabayaran doon sa pag-engage ng isang domestic worker. Tama po kayo, kapag po malaki yung cost ng binayaran ng FRA, yung employer, doon sa pag-engage ng domestic worker, hindi niya ho basta-basta bibitawan yun. No? Ang isa hong posibleng solusyon na imumungkahi namin, na isasama ho namin sa guidelines, is yung mag-put up ng performance bond yung employer. Para ho pagka hindi ho nasunod at umalis yung domestic worker, meron pong insurance company na magbabalik doon sa high cost na binayaran ng ating employer. Yun po ang isang solusyon doon.
Okay,
Doon naman po sa solusyon ng training centers na binanggit kanina, isasama rin po natin sa guidelines yung pagpapatatag ng training centers para po sa mga PRA. At hindi lang po yung, mga domestic workers natin. Hindi lang po yung domestic workers ang ititrain po natin. I-require din po natin na matrain yung foreign employers. Kasi kinakailangan ding malaman nila kung ano ba yung mga karapatan at responsibilidad ng ating mga domestic workers.
Thank you.
Mr.
Before
Chair.
anything else, Ms. Rosana Urdaneta, are we updated with our training programs in TSDAS? Because Senator Nancy keeps on bugging me about it.
The last review po ng training regulation ng DOMWorks, this was last year, yung 2017. But we are now incorporating also yung language and culture as a basic competency, plus yung workers' rights, basically because wala siya dun sa program, we are incorporating language, culture, and workers' rights in the new training regulation.
Okay, thank
Sir
you.
Chair.
Senator JV, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Tanong ko lang po siguro, alam ko medyo mahirap tanong yung Secretary Bello or sa POA. Para na magka-idea tayo, gaano karami kaya yung calls from distress OFWs yung ating natatanggap? And which countries ang medyo marami pa rin? Well, aside from usually Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, no? Ano pa ho ba yung masasabi natin, may problema pa, may kafale system pa ba?
Thank you, Your Honor. As I stated earlier, yung mga na-abuse at na-maltreat na mga OFWs natin, lalong-lalo na yung mga household service workers, 1.7% lang po yan. That is the statistics.
Total po,
Opo,
1.7%.
total po.
Opo.
Ngayon,
Pero
tungkol
it's
sa
usually,
mga-
Secretary, talagang karamihan. Of course, household service workers, no?
Opo. Kaya lang nagkakaroon ng perception na malaki dahil kung minsan yung mga because
Social
of the
media.
use of the social media,
Okay,
kung
social
minsan
media po.
nagkakaroon ng impression na napakaraming kung minsan nga one time merong OFW pumunta sa akin, sabi niya, "Sir, naka-report ako na nasa Kuwait ako." Ang report kasi from Riyadh, she went to Kuwait. Eh, sabi niya, "Sir, naka-report ako. Nandito na ako sa Pilipinas, sir. From Riyadh, I went back to the Philippines." Pero yung social media na nagsabi na pumunta siya sa Kuwait, talagang fake news yun. Pero that is happening. And in fairness dito sa mga agencies natin, Your Honors, talaga naman, they are also conscious of their responsibility. At talagang inaalagaan din nila. Kaya lang nga, marami rin ganun na hindi natin maiwasan. Pero doon sa mga namamaltrato, very prominent yan ang Kuwait at saka Saudi Arabia. At saka kung minsan, dahil malayo-layo, sa Alcobar din, sa Alcobar. Damam, yung malalayo-layo na lugar, you need to travel about 600 to 800 miles. Yun po.
Pero doon
yun,
sa mga iba naman, mga UAE, sa United Arab Emirates, wala ho halos, no?
Sa UAE, hindi
wala
masyado.
na.
Hindi po masyado. Sa Bahrain,
Bahrain.
wala naman masyado. Qatar, wala naman masyado. Maganda, medyo maliligaya.
Nila, protection.
Masaya yung ating mga OFW, yung mga household workers natin sa Qatar. Minsan nga, nagpunta ako doon, nag-grocery ako. Yung grocery cart ko, mga 1/3 lang nung grocery cart nung household workers. Mas malaki yung kanyang cart kaysa akin yun. Ibig sabihin, sila.
Masaya po sila.
Well,
Opo,
oo.
nakausap namin po.
Can we get a reaction
Sir,
from...
bago lang saglit. Gusto ko lang malaman kasi binabanggit niyo yung 1.7%. Anong exact figure ng 1.7%?
That is less than 10,000, Your Honor.
Maliit
Less than
lang.
10,000. Talagang maliit lang.
10,000 out of...
Out of 170,000 lang po sa household.
Let's just hear from Ms. Marcia Gonzalez Sadicon, National President of Ako OFW. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Chair. Thank you po. Thank you for giving us this avenue. I just want to go back to that issue, yung tungkol doon sa increasing incident of abuse. Siguro po kasi, like one, yung nabanggit ni Senator na sa mahal nga nung price, no, na china-charge ng foreign counterparts. Second, siguro, it's a sad fact that every day parang it became a natural item in the news sa Facebook posting na namamaltreat yung ating OFW. Kami sa Ako OFW, we tried to go back and review dun sa mga old incidents. Parang lang kasi, with all due respect to our DFA representative here, parang hindi masyadong napapalo o napapunish yung mga culprits of maltreatment. Ang daming na nasa-settle na lang. Kaya tuloy ang tingin sa workers ay mukhang pera. Nagulpe, nasaktan ng grabe, tapos pauuwiin kasi amicably settled. Bakit hindi natin pwedeng, total ebidensya doon, klarong-klaro, gulpi sarado yung worker, but hindi i-push hanggang sa ma-convict yung employer. Siguro we also have to review on that. Yung the way they handled, for the DFA, the way they handle the cases, kahit na sabihin mong, kasi if the committee would allow or request, a case audit has to be requested siguro, periodically. I don't know kung merong ganon, we are not aware of it.
I'm sure we have that in the government sector.
Sana po maibigay din sa public. And one more thing po, we are talking about how to monitor the whereabouts of our OFWs. Ako OFW came up with a mobile application, a monitoring application, and so to be officially be launched. Ito po ay at no cost to the government. At every Friday, we'll send out a kumusta ka message, and then the OFW will just respond, mabuti or di mabuti. From there po, mamamonitor natin actual time kung ano ang kalagayan ng isang worker, and those responses will be sent out directly to the sending organization or the sending deploying agencies po. So, yun lang ang aking request sa na to, yung sana yung the way our ATN handles the cases. Kung talagang meron tayong basehan na i-convict, to get away from settling amicably, may perang Tapos yung mga SPA siguro dapat na natin i-stop yan, dahil pag nagbigay ng SPA, parang yung complainant, wala na-waive niya na yung kanyang rights to defend herself. At saka, ewan ko anong nangyayari sa mga SPAs na naiiwan. Maybe we can request, the committee can request for the status, kung ano nangyayari doon sa mga cases na iniwanan ng SPA. Yun po sana ang hiling ng aming sektor.
Thank you. Before we recognize Yusek Abella, I'd like to recognize Mr. Jun Aguilar, the chairman of Filipino Migrant Workers Group. We'll give you the floor after Yusek Abella responds, or you want the...
I just want to make a response to
Okay,
what the lady
please do.
said. But basically, regarding the distressed workers po, from experience, the distressed workers would rather go home than file a case. Yun po ang So,
That's the unfortunate truth.
Actually, kadalasan din nga ho kasi, I think for them to pursue the case, they have to stay. And kadalasan ho ata, inaabot ng taon yon. So I think yung mga OFW natin would rather just go home and be with their family than stay in a center na nag-iisa sila doon.
Unfortunately.
Hindi mo ba pwedeng kasama yan din dun sa MOU na pag may kaso, kahit umuwi na sa Pilipinas yung kababayan natin, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung case.
something that could be taken up with the joint committee, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah, we give the floor to Mr. Jun Aguilar, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Believe me, hindi pa ako nagsisimula magtanong. Believe me, hindi pa ako nagsisimula magtanong. I'll give the floor to some of our guests afterwards, but please try to limit your statements, because you can actually submit your statements and we will consider it in our committee report. Thank you. Mr. Aguilar, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Una po sa lahat ay ang grupo po namin ay nagpapasalamat sa bumubuo ng ating team na pumunta sa Kuwait para maisakatuparan ang MOU or yung MOA. Alam po namin na isang malaking hakbang ito para sa ikabubuti ng ating mga kasamahan doon sa ibayong dagat. Pangalawa po, gusto ko lamang balikan. Alam mo, Mr. Chair, ako po hindi ko na matandaan kung ilang beses ko po in-raise itong issue na to. But just the same, I would like to raise the same issue again because this has been an issue 23 years ago. And we always go back to this issue. And narinig ko na naman po ngayon, bago po ako magsalita, yung tungkol po dun sa monitoring, tungkol po dun sa data, because the shared government information system on migration, which was embodied in the law, has not been, achieved so far. I think doon po sa Migrant Workers Act,
Is it in existence? Is that your question? Is it in existence?
wala po or hindi po nagawa.
It does not exist.
It does not exist.
So we don't even ask if it's effective.
Exactly. So Mr. Chair, gusto ko lamang pong ulitin na 1995 po, nandoon po yung sa batas. And doon po sa section 20 on the amended law, yung RA 122, nandoon na naman po yun. It was adopted in toto. And yet, wala pong naging resulta up to now. Kaya po siguro pabalik-balik tayo na yung data laging questionable. At tapos po, yun pong mga dapat ilapat at kung sino yung dapat lapatan, hindi po natin matrace, hindi po natin mamonitor simply because there is nothing like this. Kung babasahin po natin yung full text noong section 20, nandun lahat po yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. Nandun po, pati yung sa mga employers, who will be responsible, nandoon din po. But we never go back to that. As I said, we never run out of good laws. In fairness to the legislators like the Senate and in the House. But just the same, if we don't implement certain laws, then we go back to this problem. So, ang amin po ay sana mabigyang pansin po ito sapagkat ako po ay isang ininyero na dating OFW sa Riyadh. Kapag ka po walang data, ang ininyero po hindi makayang magdisenyo. And the same thing with our officials in government. I think it would be a lot difficult if they don't have the real data. So, yun po yung hinihingi ng Shared Government Information System on Migration wherein 5 big departments of the government are mandated to do so. Pati po yung 8 mga sub-agencies, nandoon po lahat sa batas. Including the source of fund, nandoon din po sa batas. So, baka po pwedeng bisitahin ulit, tingnan ulit. This is, I think, 23rd year already. And nothing has been done so far. Yun lamang po. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Can we hear from the government side why, to react on this? This is still non-existent. Last night we just passed and had the bicameral conference on the national ID system. We will ratify it later this afternoon. Naunahan pa nitong database na ito, and I think it's no-brainer how important this would be. You wanna comment, ma'am? Yusek Naik, you're recognized.
Yes, I would just like to make a comment. Maybe in future hearings, we can ask also for the attendance of PSA because I think PSA has been mandated to do that. Previously, CFO had the data, but then since the passage of the creation of the PSA, everything has been transferred to the PSA.
So unfortunately, we would continue to wait. Perhaps we'll call another hearing specifically for that, COMSEC. Just take note. Can we hear now from Ms. Elsa Villa? Ma'am, you have the floor. But before you speak, I would invite our resource persons and guests to have your lunch. This is a working lunch. Thank you. Ma'am Villa, you're recognized.
Thank you po. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat and thank you for inviting PASEI to this gathering. We were Senator Binay mentioned earlier about the government collating the number of workers who have been abused or who were undocumented and had problems. But I think the request was pag-uwi nila, pwede ba natin maano sa airport or when they go to OWA. Would just suggest further doon na sa centers. Habang nasa center sila, because they are staying for how many weeks or months, they could already give us the profile of all those in the centers, and they would tell you sino nag-recruit sa kanila, ano ba, illegal recruiter ba o legitimate ang pag-alis niya. Kasi yung iba naman doon, although legitimate silang umalis dito, eventually nagiging undocumented sila because they run away or because they do not want to come home, they want to overstay. So from there pa lang makukuha na natin yung status. And then dagdagan na lang yan dito kung ano yung nakuha ng OWA o yung mga umuwi. So for me, if we start there, we'll get somewhere. And then the other thing that I would like to add is yung na-mention kanina ni Mr. Jerome ng Opli Foundation about the cost ng yung pagtaas ng cost ng hiring of could lead, and it's really one of the big factors why we have a lot of abuses, because parang ang iniisip ng employer, I invested so much, kailangan mabawi ko yan. Yun ang nagiging diyan, pinapahiram yung maid sa kung sino-sino. They have to work even after they have worked in that one house. But what I'm really pointing out also is that, minention kanina ni Mr. Alcantara na itong like the GAMCA, yung decking before ng DOH, which we had been able to resolve, nawala na yon. But in different guises, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ito. In fact, sa ngayon meron tayong problema, yung registration na $10 na nire-request ng, it is supposed to be from the Ministry of Health daw about GCC country. This was brought out by PASEI several months ago, 6 months ago. We wrote a letter to the DFA, to POAA, to Dolly, and there was a meeting that was meeting was held, and which eventually led to the issuance of a department order by the then Secretary of Department of Health. Unfortunately, itong department order na ito hindi sinusunod ng countries, host countries. Now, well, there is mayroon naman progress doon. Yung ibang host countries they, like for example Saudi Arabia, UAE. Pero ngayon ang problema po namin ay yung Oman at saka Bahrain. They do not want to follow this. So dilemma ng mga agencies, hindi nila alam kung anong gagawin. Nag-i-expire na po yung mga visa, yung workers cannot leave, and then itong mga workers na ito ang nagsasuffer kasi nag-resign na yan sa mga trabaho nila. Ngayon, ang sinasabi ng DOH, hindi pwede ang clinic magpa-medical kung hindi nagbayad, kung magbabayad ng $10, masususpende kayo. And they have done that already. Now, on the other side naman, hindi tatatakan ng visa kung wala yung $10 na resibo. And what's really disturbing about this, that $10 is to be paid to a certain account. We don't know, nobody knows. It is, they just give you a number, you pay to that online, and it's supposed to be
Account number.
Yes. And it's supposed,
This is just for
Bahrain and Oman. But it is supposed to be paid pa by the worker using a credit card. Kasi mga workers natin, marami ba dyan may credit cards? So ang nangyayari na nung una, kasi yung naiipit yung agency, ang ginagawa ng agency, sila na nagbabayad. However, because of the department order of DOH, pag nalaman ng DOH na nagbayad ka, suspendedo ka. MOU. So ngayon yun ang problema namin. We're having another meeting this coming Thursday, so if you would like to be, updated on that.
Can you give us some inputs so we can monitor what's going to happen?
Bibigyan po namin kayo ng backgrounder.
Yes.
Yes. oo.
Thank you. Please submit it to the committee. Ma'am Edwina, you want to say something? Just to give you time to speak. Thank you.
Actually, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat, Mr. Chair. Ganun din po ang gusto naming i-reiterate. And then, in addition, another factor na I think our agencies that are deploying domestics are already doing it. But I think we still have to augment our training program. Yung pong isang major na talagang dapat nating we have to pay attention to. Because we even discovered, this is really funny, we even discovered no read, no writes from people that have been deployed when they are supposed to get NC2. They are supposed to get...
Hindi kaya galing sa University of Recto yung ano?
Hindi nga ho namin maintindihan
NC2.
how they were able to get through.
This is really something, it's alarming because even during that time when I was in TESDA, dun sa TM Calao Street, meron kaming na-discover dun na nag-i-issue ng NC.
Ang OEC nga ho natin, fake na rin, hindi po ba, admin? Meron pong nakakaalis na
Siguro,
may
yun,
OEC.
it's a great concern, no, Attorney Eulalia, because if you can fake this, and you have no way to monitor it, baka mahirap. Baka dun sa sinasabi niyang 262,000, may mga nakalusot din dyan.
So these are the things we really have to pay attention to. Kasi we are really, in fairness to the agencies, they're trying so hard to make them live already capable. But ang daming nakakalusot na ganun eh. And pag nasira yon, it boomerangs to us. Laging kami yung masama. Laging yung mga agencies ang masama. When we are doing what we have to do, especially now.
Thank you.
Alam nyo naman.
Thank you, Ma'am.
Mr.
Senator
Chair,
Binay?
sige, kasi nabanggit po ni Miss Elsa na yung parang problema sa Bahrain and Oman. May MOU na ba tayo sa Bahrain and Oman?
The MOU with Bahrain is, and Oman is pareho pong pending.
Secretary Bello, pinag-aaralan nyo ng hubad na yung mga countries na wala pa tayong MOU na isasama nyo dun sa ban?
Hindi lang po pinag-aralan po. Actually, we are going to revisit all the existing bilateral agreements po. Kasi medyo outdated na rin yung mga bilateral agreements na yan. So there is now an ongoing review of all the existing bilateral agreements po, Your Honor. Now, Your Honor, if I may, mag-comment lang sana ako dun sa comment ni the gentleman from si June. I appreciate very much the call of Mr. Aguilar. This, in effect, is a wake-up call to us in the bureaucracy. Kasi napaka-clear yung mandato ng Republic Act 10022 na dapat merong information sharing among these mentioned agencies. Mukhang nakaligtaan itong provision na ito. So we do appreciate the call of Mr. Aguilar na dapat talaga i-convene na itong interagency committee na ito.
Thank you, Secretary Bello, because this is unacceptable. This is really unacceptable. I think agencies, namely DOLE, DFA, BOEA, already have their respective data. So all we need to do now is to convene and collect the data before turning over the data to PSA. Because I think PSA is saying wala pang sila, they're just waiting for the data. Anyway.
Can I say something?
Yes, Secretary Mamao.
I would like to point out that insofar as the two countries, that's in Bahrain and Qatar, I think there may even no need for any memorandum of agreement because these two governments had abolished the Kapala system. Now, in my conference with the leaders of the state of Kuwait, I also pointed out the efforts of their country insofar as the abolition of this system in the state of Kuwait. And we have the assurance that their government will be looking into it.
Thank you. Siguro, Miss Villa, bigyan nyo rin ng copy si Secretary Mamao dun sa hinihiling po ninyo. No? Now, let me just ask the SWD, no? Talking about social welfare attaches, kasi according to Philippine News Agency, there are 10,800 undocumented Filipino migrant workers in the state of Kuwait alone. And we understand that social welfare attaches were able to serve, sa record na nahingi namin, 4,334 documented and undocumented workers in Kuwait. Now, given the number of undocumented migrant workers in Kuwait, how does your department monitor the beneficiaries for these workers if they do not have existing record in our embassy's databases? Parang very challenging ho eh.
Magandang tanghali sa ating lahat. The DSWD has a network of organizations and community-based organizations. So those undocumented workers would have the families, their friends, neighbors who would reach out to our field offices for information. So we have this information coming from various sources, and that the support from the host countries level and the support at the level of the communities, we have different types of services or assistance of the SWD, including traffic victims, survivors of trafficking in persons. So we have an array of services, as we call it in collectively, assistance to individuals in crisis situations. So we rely on the network of people's organizations, migrant workers' rights organizations, and from there we assess, and social workers have already achieved certain level of competence, especially those who have been assigned to handle special cases involving abuses. In particular, the undocumented cases really reflect also the problems or the nature of the problems that we have in their own families. So the SWD itself is very much concerned on the problem, comprehensive nature of the problem facing the Filipino people who are really unemployed and seeking employment abroad through various ways, including those illegal ways or creative ways of going out of the country and becoming undocumented workers. So we say creative because Filipinos are really creative in managing their problems at their own level. So we have social workers are really exposed to this creativity of the Filipino people, families affected by this nature of problems that we have. So we are trying to address this by joining other organizations for policy changes in terms of creating conditions for jobs, for opportunities for jobs and livelihood in the country, while we are also building our competencies, enhancing our skills in responding to the social welfare needs and services, that services along social welfare when we deploy social workers in these countries affected by the number of overseas workers that we have, especially at the Middle East. So we sustained our efforts at assigning social workers as attaches, but unfortunately, the SWD is only using the executive order.
I'm going to that direction, ma'am. It's indeed commendable.
Yes.
But if you look at the data, we were given the data, as of August 2017, there are only 4 social welfare attaches deployed in Malaysia, Riyadh, Jeddah, and Kuwait. And one who ended her duty last February 28. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, my question would be, with this magnitude, the number of OFWs deployed in these countries, bakit 4 lang yung social welfare attaches natin deployed? Are there any other plans, to deploy additional welfare attaches? Ito ba ay question ng budget?
We have
problema?
7 attaches, 1 in Malaysia, 1 in Riyadh, 1 in Jeddah, we have 1 in Kuwait, 1 in Dubai, and we are now having 1 in Hong Kong, Qatar, and soon we have to face a replacement for Riyadh and Kuwait. So we will have
Budget plays the
of course,
biggest role.
we have a
What
problem.
is the budget of the international service
Social
welfare's
service
welfare for
office.
Filipino nationals for 2018? For instance, this year, is it? I mean,
It's very little because for 4 posts alone, we have to receive 26 million.
siguro ano na lang, ma'am, just to not to waste a lot of time talking about it. Can you give us na lang siguro a decent proposal on how we can help in the budget
Yeah.
deliberation this coming
For additional 4
2019?
posts, we need 26 million. And for rental of vehicles, we need at least 78 million. And then for annual operating expenses, we need 68 million.
I'm sharing this kasi nga, despite the fact that I am sponsoring this measure on Wednesday on the floor for floor deliberation, we don't want to wait for the law to come out before we'll be able to serve our people. So baka pwedeng bigyan nyo kami ng data
Yes.
for the budget deliberation on probably in the next few months.
Yes, we have
Thank you.
prepared our
Sige po. Thank you.
figures.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, let's go to, you wanna say something, ma'am? Let's just talk more about the protocol on repatriating our OFWs. Perhaps this question would be addressed to DFA and DOLE. One of the areas of cooperation between the governments of the Philippines and Kuwait is to ensure that the repatriation of household workers is done in accordance with law. Now, one of the controversies that arose prior to the signing of MOU is the viral rescue of domestic workers from Kuwait homes. The government of Kuwait insisted that this was a violation of the sovereignty, and eventually itong unfortunate event for our Ambassador Villa from Kuwait because of undiplomatic acts. Now, my question is this: what is the protocol in rescuing OFWs in distress? When do you request for the assistance of the host government? Please don't get me wrong. I commended the efforts of DFA and DOLE for rescuing our OFWs. I have seen a lot of pictures na bugbog sarado yung mga kababayan natin, and talagang no-brainer. Hindi na natin hihintayin na maging nasa ataol na yung kababayan natin bago natin i-rescue. That's why I commend your efforts in rescuing them. But just again, to objectively discuss itong situation na to, itong process natin, masiguro natin na our protocols are in place, effective. Tama ba na lumabas sa video yon? Tama ba na i-upload yon? Sino bang responsable doon? Nung in-upload ba yon, sinasabi natin may mga kababayan pa tayong kailangang i-rescue, na-compromise ba yung mga kababayan natin na dapat din i-rescue? Meron pa bang kailangan tayong i-rescue? And again, please don't get me wrong. I commend the efforts of DFA and DOLE, but I think it's just but proper to talk about this. No, again, what is the protocol in rescuing OFWs in distress? When do we request for assistance of the host government during these times? Perhaps in DOLE and DFA, if you can. DFA, Yusek Abella.
Mr.
Please.
Chairman, before Abilia, is there a way I can
Sure.
say something about this?
Secretary Mamao is recognized.
We had been to Riyadh, to Kuwait, Your Honor, and I would suggest that this is a very sensitive issue, and if we can take this up in an executive session, so that we will not be opening something because the two countries actually had forgotten everything. What happened in that embassy episode are the things of the past. So,
Which somehow is good
insofar
for
as
us because we can move forward, Mr. Secretary, right? Sige po. Perhaps if there are things that we can discuss in public, pwede nating i-discuss. But if you feel that this is quite sensitive and needs an executive session, we'll do that later or later on after we discuss some of the issues. Do you want to say something, or you also wanted to ask for an executive session, Yusek Abela?
Basically, I think the Secretary has already conveyed his intentions regarding this matter.
It's okay. We'll do that later on. Moving forward,
Siguro, Mr. Chairman, since nga yung mga resolution, base dun sa nangyari kay Joanna, can we just get an update? Ano na nangyari dun sa supposed to be na recruiter niya? Kasi di ba yung kaso ni Joanna, legal na naging illegal. Tapos I think na yung original recruiter niya napasara, kaya nahirapan ata kayo mag-trace. So can we just get an update?
Secretary Bello, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Actually, tama po yung sinabi nyo, Senator Nancy, na yung unang recruiter niya ay nasarhan. Pero that was before, after she was already deployed. Ngayon, nagkaroon din ng issue kung sino talaga nag-recruit sa kanya. Pero dahil meron, I'm sure you saw that TV episode na meron nagpresenta na siyang kumuha kay Miss Dima Felix doon sa Sara Iloilo at dinala doon sa agency. Ngayon, it appears that that girl who recruited her is not a registered agent of the agency. Kaya illegal recruitment na yon. Oo. Pero nonetheless, na nangyari ngayon, so she was deployed and then she worked with the employer, and after so many, I think, she completed her tour of duty, kumbaga sa no. But after that, she asked for an extension. Nagpa-extend po siya. Ayun. But yung extension na ngayon is unauthorized na dahil wala na yung dati niyang agency.
Siguro yung mga, kasi di ba minsan may mga sinasara kayong mga recruitment agency. Tapos nakadeploy na ho sila ng empleyado abroad. So ano, may monitoring system ba kayo na nasasabihan niyo yung mga nasa abroad na, o yung recruiter nyo may violation to kaya sarado na. So kung may problema kayo, sinasabihin nyo ba kung saan sila tatakbo, or ano ba yun, nililipat nyo ba to another agency, or responsibilidad na sila ng OWA?
Actually, Your Honor, yung responsibility is now with our polo office. Oo, dahil wala na yung agency at dapat mino-monitor yung polo namin. And that is the reason, Your Honor, I recall practically all the people in polo in Kuwait, from the labor attaché to the assistant labor attaché and the welfare officer. Ni-recall ko lahat sila. Dahil talagang hindi inalagaan yung ating kababayan na si Miss Dima Felix. And this is worsened by the fact na yung relatives ni Miss Dima Felix already informed yung aming tao doon sa polo na nawawala yung kapatid namin. Ang sagot nung aming talagang nagalit nga ako nun. Sabi niya, nakita mo ba yung tambak na papeles dyan? In short, sabi niya, I have no time for that. So, without any hesitation, Your Honor, for the record, I immediately recalled not only the lady who acted that way, but including yung assistant labor attaché and the labor attaché. And they are here now. And they have to be re-educated on the responsibilities as our people in the front line.
Thank you. Attorney Olalia, yung question kanina ni Sen. Nancy, no, yung may kinasuhan na ba dun sa agency? And also just to clarify, yung foreign labor agency that recruited Joanna has been on your watch list even before this happened, itong Fadila Fars Kawed Al-Qodor Recruitment Agency?
Yes, sir. We disqualified that FRA in participating with the deployment process because of the violation committed by the PRA, sir. In relation to the question of the good senator, may we volunteer the information that the POA conducted or rather organized a task force for the conduct of investigation regarding the death of Joanna Dima Felix. And of late, the task force submitted a recommendation in each report. We will be furnishing this committee.
I will be
report
asking
of
for
the
a
task
copy
force.
of that. Sir, yung isa, how do you update or initiate the placement of a foreign recruitment agency in your watch list?
We have a,
Paanong sistema?
sir, we have a database, and then lahat po ng FRA doon in good standing are segregated from those blacklisted.
And since the death of Joanna, na-revoke na po yung agency's license to recruit yung for our household workers, yung before pa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Cancelled na po yung license niya.
Thank you.
Can I say something in addition to what, another information, Honorable Senator Binay, about the Mapelis. There was actually one thing that was done by the employer. He confused both the Philippine government and the authorities in Kuwait. He reported before they left that the Mapelis was a runaway. So that was one thing that confused our authorities and the Kuwaiti government. So I think that's one very important information on this thing.
Let's just
Siguro, Mr. Chair, bago tayo umusagot, kasi di ba ho, yung relationship nung mga recruiter tsaka yung mga empleyado, pag kunyari nagka-problema ho sila tapos gusto nilang bumalik dito sa Pilipinas, the airfare is being shouldered by the recruitment agency. Paano ho yung instances na nagsara na yung agency? Because technically, di ba, parang responsibilidad nila yun eh. Kasama na dun sa nabayaran na aakuin nila yung pamasahe pabalik. So, paano kung sinara niya na yung agency?
Attorney Hans Kakdak, finally. Give the floor to Attorney Kakdak. Pasensya na, sir.
Senators.
To my fellow Celtic fanatic.
Yes po, the OWA would usually step in and we provide the plane ticket and as well as assist the worker in securing his or her exit visa po.
Nagsasaro ba kayo ng agency? Walang ano yan? Garnishment or they pay a certain amount?
Actually, the agency's so-called escrow, this is a question for Admin Olaya, sorry.
Please,
Yes,
Admin.
ma'am. Lahat po ng agencies natin, nagde-deposit po sila ng escrow deposit. Minimum po is 1 million. And then pag may violation po sila or may recruitment violation sila, doon po natin ginagarnish yun. And then yung pong escrow na yun, maintain po nila every now and then. And they cannot just withdraw this amount. Opo, lahat
Para
po
kayo, Ms. Sisa, nagbayad kayo ng 1 million. May naka-escrow kayo ng 1 million.
Yes, and for every cases, may dagdag pa yan ng dagdag up to maximum 2 million.
Mayaman naman yan si Miss Lita. Kilala ko yan.
Very quickly, Mr. Chairman, another thing that I would like to emphasize is the allowing foreigners, not citizens of that country, to recruit. Because in the case of the Mapelis, the employers are from Lebanon and Syria. Now, the employer was convicted by the judiciary system in Kuwait, but they could not enforce the judgment because there is no extradition treaty between Lebanon, Syria, and Kuwait. So there is conviction. The guy is arrested. He is detained in Lebanon, but he cannot be brought out to Kuwait because of that problem.
I have a question. For example, if one of these foreign recruitment agencies decides to declare bankruptcy or ceases operation, yung our local recruitment agencies ba, sila yung sasaludin yan? Ganun ho ba yan? Paano yung sasaluhin? And paano yun? Kayo yun?
Kaya nga po kanina sinasabi ko, Mr. Senator, kaya nga po kanina ini-stress ko, together with the government, sa mga tao po inside this room, ang meron talagang matinding concern sa OFW ay wala pong iba kundi kami po yun. Kasi it's very expensive on our part. And yet, yun po yun kasi nga po under the rules. Kaya nga po kanina gusto kong ipasok yung yun sa DFA na sinasabi na nagpa-file ng kaso, how fast ba sila nagpa-file ng kaso or gaano kabagal na inaabot pa yung tao na makauwi dahil ayaw na mag-file ng kaso, or do they have the enough personnel na nakatutok lang para sa filing at pag-follow up ng kaso, kasi yung iba po dyan administrative. Kasi po, kaya ko binabanggit yung gaano kabilis or anuman, kasi po ang polo natin napakabilis din po na mag-file ng kaso under the SENA sa amin po mga recruitment agencies. Na yung pong mga foreign recruitment agencies, they already learn to game our rules. Alam po nila yung rules. Masakit man po tanggapin kasi yan po napapansin natin. Napakasipag po ng ating mga polo. So patawag agad yan, file ng kaso against, money claims po to against the employer. Pero dahil nakatali nga po ang mga recruitment agency sa JSL, magpa-file po ng kaso ang ating polo sa recruitment agencies. Ang ginagawa naman ng mga employer, alam na nila, magdi-delaying tactics yan. Hindi yan magbabayad. Ang agency po, talagang forced to good na magbayad kasi papatawan na agad ng polo ng 48 hours to repatriate. Pag hindi namin na-repatriate, documentary suspension po kami. So, dito po sa parte na to, parang mahina po yung mechanism natin. Can you imagine na allowing your Filipino citizen to pay for the obligation ng foreign nationals, na siya na nga ang nakinabang na nagtrabaho itong ating kababayan, and yet he goes away scot-free with these obligations. Kaya gusto po sana, kaya isasubmit ko nga po to sa inyo, baka po makita nyo yung lapses ng batas pagdating po dito. Kasi this is a part of subsidy sa foreign employers sa kanilang obligasyon and liabilities na dapat po nilang bayaran, na kami po yung nagbabayad kasi they learn to game our rules, na hindi naman tayo papayag po ng ganon.
What is your suggested solution?
Mr. Chair.
Itali po natin sa JSL yung pong actual employer. Hindi yung ang nakatali lang sa JSL kami. Yeah, kasi kami po yun nakatali din po sila. Not only the FRA, tali po talaga, tangkay-tangkayan, tatlo po na yan. Then, hindi ganun, at kung umuwi man po yung OFW, kailangan ipopursu pa rin yung kaso. Kung may kaso dito sa Philippine Agency, may kaso pa rin po sa kanila, hindi titigilan. So, then, dito rin po, not only on the part of the DFA, dito din po sa part po sa polo natin, sa mga staff po ng polo, do we have enough staff? At kung meron tayong enough staff, how many are really focused in filing the case, in pursuing the case, and so on and so forth? Kasi, yun po yun na-abuse po yung rules. The rules ay sa atin lang napaparusahan, sa kababayan lang po natin na-enforce. I don't see yung victory na sinasabi ng NLRC na eto ganito kalaki yung nabigay namin sa worker. Hindi ko po na yun. This is a shame on the framework of national interest. Kasi we are also taxpayers. So we also need to be protected. Yes, we will protect the FW. Tayo po, lahat po, protectionan po natin yun. Pero kami rin po, we also need the same protection. So dito po sa anggulo po na to, sana po makita po ito ng ating mga
Thank you, Ms. Season. Can we ask a reaction from the government agency on that particular matter lang? Yun nga, itatali ba natin? Pwede ba yun? Kasi, hindi ang hirap What's the...
I empathize with Ms. Season. Kaya lang, in the first place, wag po kayo magagalit. In the first place, kayo namili ng FRA So, that's your lookout. Pag nakapili kayo ng FRA na manluloko, wala natin magagawa. Kasi tayo walang jurisdiction, Your Honor. What we can do is only blacklist them. Iba-blacklist lang namin sila. Pero other than that, wala na kami magagawa.
Sige po, we'll give the floor to Mr. Alcantara. Sir,
Mr. Chair, dati po member po kami ng isang interagency council against trafficking. It's a government agency mandated to monitor the implementation of RA, yung anti-trafficking law natin. And one of our proposals, the IACAT, and we're trying to revive this now, diniscuss po namin kay Yusek Pimentel na kahapon actually. We're proposing that there is a task force OFW that will be convened within the Interagency Council Against Trafficking, and which will also be supervised and supported by the Department of Justice. Ang gagawin niya, kasi tama po yung mga kaibigan natin sa private sector, ano, ang napaparusahan lang po parate yung nandito, ang napapakalog lang po yung kababayan. So, isa po na kumbaga isang milestone nitong na matuturing nitong task force na to na i-convene as we propose ng Department of Justice through IACAT, maghanap ng paraan para makapagpakulong tayo ng isang FRA o isang employer na nagmaltrato ng kababayan natin. We have done this before, ma'am. We were able to convict a Malaysian employer. Nakakulong po sa Malaysia yon, na-convict sa Malaysia, na-convict dito. Pero kailangan po talagang kailangan aralin, kailangan may perfect na circumstances, and we are actually exploring, may mga in-explore na po mga cases with the Admin Olalia ng POEA kung paano itetest yung extraterritoriality provisions ng anti-trafficking law natin. Pero yun po, hindi po kaya na nasa ambit lang po ng labor. Dapat po, meron tutok talaga ng Department of Justice kasi yung sinubukan naming i-file na case nun, dinismiss po ng Department of Justice. So sana po yun. Mahirap yun, di ba? Kung susubukan natin, tapos kakampi na natin yung POA, di-dismiss pa ng DOJ. So, yun po sana, na sa DOJ, sila yung mag-supervise, sila yung magbigay ng technical support, tapos tutulong po naman yung POEA, tulong yung CFO, tapos tutulong din naman po kami.
Thank you, Mr. Alcantara.
Yeah,
You want to say something?
yeah.
Secretary Mamao, you're recognized.
It seems, Your Honor, that the problem is the applicability of the agreement and the venue insofar as the filing of the claim. I think we are dealing with an international agreement between a company here in the Philippines and a foreign recruitment agency. So we can incorporate in the contract certain provisions on arbitration, which arbitration body that can take care of this kind of problem. And we can also incorporate in the agreement probably that the venue of the filing of this, of any violation of the agreement can either be filed in the host country and in the sending country, and that is the Philippines.
Thank you. Yes, Yusek Naik, Mental Naik.
Well, we're having talks with these countries also, no? It's always good to be proactive rather than reactive. So while the DOLOY and DFA are having these conversations with the different countries and reviewing also the bilateral agreements, the CFO would like to mention also that we would like, because especially in countries where women are not treated to be at par with men, so the domestic workers that we have, let us look into the issue also that instead of the ministries of labor, it is the Ministry of Interior oftentimes that have the jurisdiction to regulate domestic workers. So ano lang natin siya na ma-review also para when we have the it should be the Ministry of Labor of the, kasi there are some countries that is the Ministry of Interior instead of the Ministry of Labor that handles the regulation.
Thank you. We take note of that. May start asking more about the MOU, for DOLE.
Chair, siguro bago ka pupunta sa MOU,
Okay,
pwede balikan ko lang yung
Binay.
kay Joanna. Kasi nabanggit niyo na convicted sila sa Kuwait pero nakakulong sila sa Lebanon. So technically, wala silang kaso sa Lebanon. Tama ho ba? And the probability of them getting out of jail is a big possibility.
Your Honor, we have a reliable information that the Lebanese will be tried in Lebanon. And in fact, the Kuwaiti government offered assistance to the family of Joanna so that they can participate in the trial of this Lebanese national. Doon gagawin. Hindi, even in, if there is an extradition treaty between Kuwait and Lebanon, hindi mag-apply yun eh. Kasi ang nagsumibat, hindi naman Kuwaiti national. Lebanese national. So hindi nila mapapa-extradite. That is why, sabi ng Kuwaiti government, since the Lebanese government will try yung kanilang national, then they will assist our the relatives of Ms. Dimapeles to attend the trial, and if they so wish, to provide them with legal assistance.
Yung isa lang ho yung nasa Lebanon, but the other spouse is in Syria.
Yung Syria kasi po, mahirap makapag-communicate kasi alam nyo naman yung Syria, puro gera dun eh.
Pero nakakulong ho yung...
Wala ring information, not confirmed po.
So ang sure lang ho na nakakulong yung isa lang?
Basta the latest news was that she was picked up by the police authorities. Whether after that, kung kinulong o wala nang information. Kasi hirap.
Ano ba yung nasa Syria? Yung babae ho, yung lalaki?
Yung Syrian, yung
babae.
Ang babae. In
So ang
fact,
nakakulong ho yung lalaki?
May unconfirmed report na yung Lebanese husband pointed to her as the killer. Yun ang sinasabi ng husband. Pero siyempre, we cannot take that to hook, line, and sinker. Baka siyempre gagawa na siya ng paraan eh.
Who's primarily in charge of monitoring this?
Yung aming labor attaché po doon.
Thank you. You want to add something?
Just additional information
Yusek
po
Abella?
regarding the matter. Yeah. May legal team po na pinadala, was sent by UMWA to meet the lawyers of the family of the Mafilis in Lebanon and Syria to pursue the civil case against the accused employers. Damascus Philippine Embassy might request, if allowed, under the laws of Lebanon and Syria, for the transfer of the female employer, Mrs. Mona Ali Hassoun, to Lebanon and face the criminal and civil prosecution together with her husband. So yun po ang pwedeng inatabayanan.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just one very
Okay,
quick,
Secretary
because
Mamao.
there is an issue of extradition. Even if this Lebanese criminal is not a Kuwaiti, under the rules of extradition, it can still be done. In America, they are now extraditing one Filipino national, a doctor, to be extradited to America. He is not a citizen of America. But we have this extradition treaty, and they are now going after this Filipino national based in the Philippines.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to move forward, I haven't started my questions. Please. And I still wanted that the executive session even for a few minutes just to talk about it, no? We're trying to help our government agencies understand and make sure that this MOU that was signed will be implemented effectively. Just looking at it, no, ito sa Article 3, subsection 5 of the MOU, it indicates that our household workers should have orientations on Kuwaiti laws, customs, and traditions. Now, based on the previous hearings natin dito sa Committee on Labor, yung standard one-day PDOS o Pre-Deployment Orientation Seminar and PEOS o Pre-Employment Orientation Seminar provided by OWA and POEA. May we know if that would be sufficient enough for our workers, and perhaps what are the steps being done now by DOLE to comply with this obligation under MOU?
Actually, Your Honor, the provisions on PDOS and POS are sufficient. But we will go beyond the provision of the MOU, Your Honors, because we are in consultation with our POEA, we have decided to impose as a requirement for licensing that all recruitment agencies should have their own training center as accredited by TESDA.
I was about to ask that. You just want to make sure that's accredited. Sir, thank you. Thank you for that information. At least you gave us the assurance na sufficient. And during last hearing, I remember distinctly, during last hearing, it was mentioned by some of our resource persons, yung itong PIDOS has become also a source of corruption where orientation seminars which are shorter than the mandated 6-hour length are offered for a much higher price. And since one of our commitments in the MOU is to ensure that OFWs receive proper orientation, of course it is important that the quality of these seminars are thoroughly vetted. Siguro, Secretary, maybe just make sure na
Tsaka, yun lang yung concern last hearing, no? Pinoint out ko lang ho ulit. You have a suggestion?
In additional po dun sa PIDOS and PEOs, dapat po magkaroon ng counterpart, mandatory briefing din po dun sa family of the direct employer for them to understand the culture of the Filipina, that they eat rice and so on and so forth, para po maging effective. Dapat po hindi lang yung worker natin ang binibriefing, dapat yung pagtatabuan at tatanggap na pamilya po ay may counterpart briefing din.
Ma'am, hindi ho ba pwede yung sa ganyang usapin, kayo nung FRA niyo yung mag-usap?
Ma'am, pwede naman po, pero magkakaroon po yan ng ngipin kung ang gobyerno po natin ang magpapa-implement. Kasi pag sa amin po, baka hindi po yan masyadong pansinin. Gagawin po natin. Yes, ma'am.
We're talking only about the MOU of Kuwait siguro. Let's just focus on that particular issue lang for a while. Kasi medyo dadami yung issues natin na pinag-uusapan. We don't want to be sidetrack. Yung kanina pinag-uusapan yung PDOS being conducted by OWA. I think CFO is also conducting. What's the difference?
The PDOS with CFO is for permanent migrants, for marriage migrants, and kasi hindi kami OFW. And the difference also is that CFO, the PDOS is in-house, so we don't give it to other people. It's the permanent employees or MIED that handle. So hindi sila pwedeng mag-shortcut. They really have to undergo the full PDOS module. So that's the difference with PLE.
Okay, thank you. Now, we go to Article 2, Subsection 2 of the MOU. Mandates the host party, Kuwait, to ensure that the employer shall register the domestic worker in the health insurance system that covers his treatment in case of illness or injury due to work. Now, this health insurance system is provided in the Kuwaiti law, which brings me to the following questions. There is no specific indication in the MOU as to what the Kuwaiti law provides. Just to be clarified lang, no, insofar as health insurance system for our household service workers is concerned. Can somebody give us a briefing on specific provision of law or legislation that this clause in the MOU pertains to, if any, no? O meron lang. Kasi if this health insurance system is the obligation of the state of Kuwait, would that entail that the employer has the freedom and authority to select? Siya yung magse-select ng health insurance system he or she prefers? Or do our household workers or the Philippine state, for instance, have a say in the selection of the health insurance system? Kasi natandaan ko itong mga lately nagpasa kami dito sa Senado ng mga ilang agreements no, and one of which yung isa lang dapat yung babayaran, pwedeng isa na lang yung babayaran ng Filipino migrant worker na insurance premium. Secretary, please.
Your Honor, in response, the issue of the insurance will be the subject of a discussion and consensus between the joint committee as created by the MOU, Your Honor.
After na kasi nakalagay kasi dito compulsory insurance policy. So we just want to make sure that, and just perhaps to remind our Philippine government, the Philippine team, na consider yung provisions that we already have in our domestic laws. Would this entail that our household workers in Kuwait are entitled to benefit from two separate insurance policies? Would this require the migrant worker or his employer to pay two separate premiums? Kaya ako lang binanggit ito kasi we don't want to provide an opportunity for excessive deduction. Yun lang yung point natin, excessive deduction from the salaries of our workers, which could arise if they would be required to pay two insurance premiums. Now, for DFA, last hearing, I remember we have heard about how our household workers face legal charges by their employers from the so-called absconding, no, when they try to seek refuge. I have this on my notes. When they try to seek refuge from abuse they suffered through. Absconding is commonly used to describe someone that attempts to avoid arrest But in Kuwait, it is used to describe an offense of leaving an employment contract. Now, with the MOU, and it appears it is somehow, I hope the MOU is not silent on addressing this matter, and this legal provision might discourage our household workers to report their grievances to the proper authorities, which leaves this MOU ineffective kung ganun yung mangyari. Again, this is just to help our team in crafting the IRR of this MOU. Given this, has the DFA encountered these cases in the past where, for example, our OFWs are charged with absconding? And if so, has the DFA engaged in talks in the past regarding this particular issue?
Your Honor, may I help?
Please, Secretary Bello.
Actually, most of our people, our wards in the shelter now are those people who are either charged, they are the ones charged, or they were the ones charging their employers. Ito. So, usually kasi pag umalis, the usual refuse ng mga employers nila, nagnakaw, tumakas, gano'n. No? So, we are very conscious of this incident, Your Honor.
Na ma-zero in natin, Secretary. Yes, Yusek Abella.
All right. Apparently, the number of cases like that, because it usually, the way it's presented, it usually relieves the employer of any responsibilities. So, nagagamit po talaga siya.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out para dun sa upcoming meetings
If I may
natin.
add, Your Honor,
Please, Secretary.
this is one of the contribution of Secretary Cayetano in the discussion was a requirement that a police unit will be devoted on a 24-hour basis for any possible call or assistance from our OFWs, Your Honor. Nandyan yan. So, yung mga ganong absconding now will be prevented already because with the use of their cell phone, which is also provided by the MOU na dapat hawak ng ating OFW yung kanilang cellphone, they can call either our embassy or our polo office or the police unit that is 24-hour devoted to their assistance.
Thank you. Before we convene an executive session, kahit for a while lang, dun sa protocols lang, you're talking about shelters kanina, Secretary. Based on Polo records, about 5 to 7 OFW household workers run to Polo OWA shelters daily. I think this was last hearing, to seek refuge from abusive employers, etc. How many OFWs do we have currently seeking refuge in these shelters in Kuwait?
Your Honor, we have about, I think, only 601 now. And then 200...
601? How big is our shelter? Ang laki nun, ha?
Ha?
601?
Nagdagdag kami, Your Honor.
But because of two shelters.
Nagdagdag kami ng shelter, eh. Oh.
Actually, they don't need to pay, no? Just wanted to
Secretary,
be clear on that.
Nagdagdag kasi, I think I was there 2011. So, parang hindi kasha 600. Unless you added another...
May additional shelter, Your Honor. And our assurance, kasi nakaswerte. Siguro may dalang swerte si Secretary Mamao because when I requested that yung ating wards in that shelter be allowed to be repatriated, the Deputy Prime Minister and concurrently Minister of Foreign Affairs did not only agree to their repatriation, he offered to defray their expenses for their travel. Kaya swerte si Secretary Mamao doon sa dating na
Yes, I would like to say something on this thing. As mentioned by Secretary Bilyo, there are now currently there are now 601 runaways in our center. There are 2 shelters, and we actually thank the Kuwaiti government for allowing additional center because the per center could only accommodate about 300. Now, as part of the commitment of the state of Kuwait, they are going to pay the expenses of these 601. Out of these 601, actually, there are more than 300 that have criminal cases and financial obligations that the state government of Kuwait will also shoulder so that these runaways in the center can leave. There are more than 300 of them. So the first group, first batch, will be those without any criminal complaint, without any financial obligation, but the remaining 300 plus are still being processed in order to determine their accountability.
Pinakamalaki na ho ba yung shelter natin sa Kuwait o mas malaki yung sa South?
Malaki po. Mas malaki po ng konti yung sa Bahay Kalinga sa Riyadh. I'd just like to share, Sen, na yung dinalaw nyo sa 2011, wala na po yun. Lumang facility yun. So aside from a second shelter, the original regular shelter is already a new facility.
Because I remember, nung pumunta kami na, parang nagta-turn ata sila ng pagtulog kasi hindi na nga sila kasya dun sa previous shelter.
So we already move forward, Sen Nancy. No, una na, kanina bilanggit natin, libre ito, walang binabayaran yung mga OFWs natin. But what if they need medical assistance? Paano yun? Who will handle the medical costs? Libre din yun? I mean, is it OWA?
Diretsuhin ko na, Sen.
May problema din kayo sa pondo?
Kami rin po yun. Wala pong problema sa pondo, if I would care to add. Si Secretary Bello had
sinilip namin yung pondo niya
And I think, di ba DFA may pondo din?
Meron
Di
din
ba
po.
1 billion nga for this?
Meron din po, but
this
just for the OWA, the Secretary directed us to have a revolving fund, which means it's always there. They don't have to request money from Central. The money is always there. They can just pull out money as they need it. And then second, si Sec Bello has taken the augmentation team approach. At halos 50 na po ang napadala nating additional teams aside from the original teams, both between Saudi and Kuwait. In Kuwait alone, there are an additional 10 people on top of the original.
Yun sa Kuwait, 601 na. Pero gaano kalaki yung capacity niya to handle?
Tama lang po yung capacity.
Sakto yung 601.
Up to 800 or
800?
so. Tama lang po yung capacity niya doon sa dalawa.
And how long, attorney, sorry, how long does an OFW stay in the shelter? Mayroon bang, anong policy? No, depends. Kasi sasabihin mo ba 1 year nag-stay ka doon?
Actually, sir, in fairness to Kuwait, mas mabilis ang turnover sa Kuwait kaysa sa Saudi. Mas mabilis sila mag-process. Siguro gawa nung they're a smaller country, mas mabilis sila mag-process ng exit visa. So on average, siguro mga 1 up to 3 weeks, makakauwi yung ating worker once nakapunta siya sa shelter. Pero syempre may exceptional cases such as pag may criminal case o may kaso po.
Thank you very much. Before we convene in an executive session, are there anything else?
By the way, Your Honors, if you
Very short
are
lang.
interested, by the end of this week, 235 of them will be flown in. Kaya baka gusto po yung
235 from the
out
shelter.
of the 600.
235. That's
Baka gusto nyo pong
that's great
sumalubong.
news. That's great news. Alam kong kayang-kaya nyo na ho yan. Inyo po lahat, maraming salamat for attending this hearing. I appreciate the inputs and comments, especially from our dear Senators J.V. Ejercito and Senator Nancy Binay. Kaya sa susunod na halalan, iboboto ko po silang dalawa. And just a few short points. I think the issue confronting us all has become clearer because of the recent incidents in Kuwait, particularly the brutal death of Joanna de Mafelis. It was really shocking and saddening beyond words. Sadly, it seems that our kababayan still have to make a choice between abuse and unemployment. If I remember rightly, there were 185 cases of deaths in Kuwait from 2016 to 2017. Marami pong nagbuwis ng buhay bago malagdaan itong MOU at sa ngayon, marami pa rin ang sumusugal sa mga illegal recruiters. Marami ang nagtuturista para lang makalusot sa immigration at sa mga iba't iba pang patakaran. May mga recruiters na pinapalipat-lipat ang mga workers sa iba't ibang employers, kaya lalo silang nagiging vulnerable sa pang-aabuso. Sa mga nagdaan pong mga pangyayari at hanggang ngayon, klarong-klaro sa ating lahat, kailangan ng tulong ng ating mga OFWs. Clearly, there is a need to change the status quo and improve the condition of Filipino workers abroad. That's why our deliberations on these issues are important, because it can help us to get to the root causes of the problem and find solutions to the problems of our OFWs face. Kahit na mag-walk tayo ng extra mile, kahit na maging ready tayong palitan yung mga usual or business as usual na patakaran. As you clearly pointed out, there are several needs that should be addressed. Nanggaling po sa ating mga resource persons. We need an intensified training for household workers. We need to give them skills to at least minimize cases of runaways. We even need to check the veracity of NCs of our 262,000 NC holders in Kuwait and in other countries. We need to look at the imposition of exorbitant fees for medical exam, visa stamping, among others. We may need to put a performance ban for employers and require the training of foreign employers. We need to revisit all existing bilateral agreements since many of these agreements are already outdated. We need to monitor and confirm if Kuwait is deemed fully compliant as required by RA 10022 at nasagot po yan ng ating DFA representative. We need to ensure that the accountability when our workers are abused is shared among foreign recruitment agency, local recruitment agency, and even foreign employers. We need to ensure that our protocols, especially in rescuing OFWs in distress, are being followed. We also need a database of undocumented or abused Filipino workers, and perhaps we can tap our centers or polos to gather information about undocumented workers. We need information sharing among all agencies. We need to collaborate and convene the interagency group before data can be turned over to the PSA. And thank you to Secretary Bello for assuring us that DOLE will spearhead this initiative. Above all, it seems that we just need to implement our existing laws, which have been in place for 23 years, as mentioned by Mr. Jun Aguilar, specifically Section 20 of RA 8042, which requires the establishment of a shared government information system for migration. Kahit po siguro 1.7% lamang ng kabuuang bilang ng mga OFWs ang nabibiktima ng pang-aabuso sa Kuwait o sa iba pang bansa, ibig sabihin mayroon pa rin po tayong dahilan para maipatupad ang mga solusyong ito. Now that the MOU has been signed and the Joint Committee will meet after Ramadan, we hope that change will happen and things will get better. Kahapon laman po ng mga balita, ang 2 Pinoy construction workers sa Jeddah ang hinihinalang namatay sa sunog sa kanilang tirahan sa Saudi. Kasabay nito, mayroon ding 108 OFW sa Saudi na 4 na buwang hindi pinasahod, allegedly hindi pinasahod ng kumpanya nila at nagdesisyon na bumalik sa Pilipinas. Marami pong problema noon. Marami pa rin tayong mga challenges na hinaharap ngayon. Kailangan po nating ugatin ang mga problema. Kailangan po natin ng solusyon dito sa mga problema ito. Kailangan nating matiyak na magiging maayos ang buhay ng mga OFWs na wala namang ibang gusto kung hindi mabigyan ng magandang kinabukasan ang kanilang pamilya at mahal sa buhay na naiwan dito sa Pilipinas. Sa inyo pong lahat na dumalo sa pagdinig ngayong araw na ito, maraming salamat po, and this committee is now adjourned, but we will suspend temporarily, and we will just meet just for a few minutes just to discuss this particular issue, very sensitive. So we wanted to ask the concerned personalities, government personalities, to remain, and we'll be asking everyone to vacate this room. Sa inyo pong lahat muli, maraming salamat. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Mr. Chair, one last point po. Hindi po, meron lang. Okay. Meron lang po kasi tayong OFW that was charged of kidnapping na hindi nasama yata dun sa inayos ng DFA natin.
Can we have someone from the government agency to talk to
Nasa case
to Ma'am,
33
please?
po yon, number 33. Nakauwi na po yung diplomats na kasama doon sa case na yon.
We take note of it. We'll have a 5-minute break, CR break. Konti lang naman po tayo eh. Perhaps we can